Welcome to this training presentation on ladder safety. Today we're going to be going over learning objectives, how to select the correct ladder for the task, the difference between working on a step ladder and extension ladder, the hazards associated with ladder use, proper maintenance, and storage procedures and options. The course outline looks similar to this. Introduction to ladder safety. We're going to be going over planning and preparation, ladder selection, inspection and maintenance, safe work procedures, and then finally we're going to wrap it up with a summary. These are some of the things that you're going to need to know. Common workplace hazards, being able to identify them, common causes of injuries, how to prevent them, and 4 steps for preventing accidents. Some of the ladder hazards. Ladder use is one of the leading causes of occupational fatalities. Accidents resulting from ladder instability, electrical shock, and falls. Climbing up and down ladders is particularly hazardous. This includes carrying tools or materials. Improper use of ladders is one of the top 10 most frequent cited federal OSHA standards. The most common causes of ladder injuries are falls and tipping the ladder over. Falls and tipping can be caused by improper ladder use, selection, or setup, such as the following. Overreaching, trying to get that one extra tool or finish one extra job when you're not in the proper location. Placing the ladder on unstable surfaces like mud, pea gravel, slippery conditions. Improperly getting on or off the ladder, not facing the ladder while climbing or descending, holding tools or materials while climbing, exceeding the ladder's load capacity, and selecting the wrong ladder altogether. Other factors increase the risk of injury. Insignificant training on safe ladder use, improper electrical contact, slippery substances on ladder rungs, ladder movement while climbing. These are all things that can add to ladder injuries that can be other factors. Preventing ladder injuries. Most ladder accidents are caused by improper selection, care, or use. Employees who follow 4 principles can prevent injuries and incidents. These kind of go over planning and preparation, ladder selection, inspection and maintenance, and safe work procedures. As we go through these, we'll kind of break these down a little bit further. Planning and preparation. First, conduct a hazard assessment noting any uneven ground or surfaces, overhead hazards, and similar obstructions. This will dictate the required PPE or personal protective equipment. Ladder selection. Understanding what the proper ladder you're trying to select for the job is one of the most important things you can do. So selecting the right selecting the right type of ladder for the job is of the utmost importance. Inspection and maintenance. Conduct inspections prior to ladder use and after any incidents. Additional inspections may be conducted if any damage is suspected and or reported. Safe work procedures. Exercise precaution when positioning and using your ladder. So here are some things that you'll need to know when planning and prepping for work. How to anticipate and identify the hazards, how to choose PPE or personal protective equipment, and proper housekeeping are all things that can go into this. When conducting a hazard assessment, it's imperative that you understand what type of work you will be doing. So identify the type of work to be performed on a ladder and consult with a fall protection program or a qualified person for additional safety considerations. What are some of the hazards that can be present? Well, energized electrical equipment, overhead electrical lines, electrical boxes, exposed electrical wires are all things that you can look out for. Uneven or unstable ground, doors or gates that open towards a ladder, and there's also some environmental risks like windy or stormy weather, slippery conditions, muddy or uneven surfaces like loose rock and pea gravel are all things to consider. Choosing an appropriate PPE. So after you conduct a hazard assessment to determine what PPE will need to be used, choose supportive footwear with arch support and non-slip soles. Use safety glasses with slide shields for overhead work. Wear a hard hat appropriate for hazards such as overhead electrical lines or side impact hazards. Read and follow all manufacturer instructions, markings, labels, and warnings. Make sure that these are also legible while on the ladder and not rubbed off. Follow your fall protection program for working at heights. Additional requirements and PPE may be required. Proper housekeeping. This is something that tends to be overlooked as ladders get dirty and used on construction sites and even in your own home. To improve the safety of your work area, keep top and bottom of the ladder clear of debris, sweep or rake debris away from the base of the ladder, put tools away when they're not in use, and ensure that the steps or rung are clear of dust, debris, mud, ice, and snow. Ladder selection. This next portion of the training will help you choose the right ladder for the job. The general types of portable and extension ladders, and how to choose the correct ladder for the weight load and job type. These are different types of ladders. Portable ladders are the most common ladder type. Some of their characteristics: portable ladders can be easily moved or carried. They're intended for temporary use. Some of them do not require a structure for support, like a step ladder. Some of the categories that fall under this are self-supporting, non-self-supporting, and multi-purpose. Some of the other ladder types are like wood ladders, metal, aluminum, and fiberglass. While they all have their pros and cons, to break this down a little further, wood ladders provide insulation against heat and cold, but they tend to age quickly when left untreated or left out in sunlight. Metal ladders are conductors, so we don't want to use them around electricity in any way. Also make sure that they have slip-resistant rungs. Aluminum ladders are lightweight and resistant to corrosion. However, they conduct electricity and they do not insulate against heat or cold. Fiberglass is probably the most commonly used ladder. They are weather resistant and durable. When clean and dry, they do not conduct electricity. These ladders are very heavy and tend to chip and crack when handled improperly. Using the buddy system or having someone help you move a fiberglass ladder is typically an ideal situation. Here are some photos of self-supporting ladders like step ladders. These also come in a different variety of fiberglass, wood, metal type of situations, very similar to the ones that we just reviewed. Non-self-supporting ladders. This is a photo of an extension ladder, and it breaks down some of the parts and pieces of what an extension ladder has. Non-self-supporting ladders cannot stand alone and must be supported by sturdy structures. Types include extension ladders and straight ladders. Other ladder types are A-framed or little giant multi-purpose ladders. Stabilizer ladders, or ladders with stabilizing extension, offer great balance and more secure connection to the supporting structure. And multi-purpose ladders can be used as either step ladders or extension ladders. Oftentimes they can be configured for unique spaces such as stairways. However, with that, we want to make sure that the appropriate locks are locked into place before use. Maximum load rating. These are on every ladder that is produced. It is important to verify what type of work you're doing and the load type that you may be experiencing with that ladder. The maximum load refers to the weight of a fully clothed person and the tools and equipment he or she may be carrying. Before choosing a ladder, calculate the maximum load. Find the load rating, also called the duty rating, on the manufacturer's label. The maximum load must be less than the load rating, and exceeding the load rating may cause the ladder to collapse or fail. Remember, do not carry tools or equipment in your hands. Now we're going to go over some inspection and maintenance. These are essential ways to discover and correct problems before they lead to an accident. Some of the things that you'll need to know are when to conduct inspections, what to look for during an inspection, and some maintenance steps. A qualified person must conduct inspections prior to each and every ladder use, after incidents, and if damage is suspected or reported. Any inspection must follow the manufacturer's inspection requirements, and these documents should be kept on file. Some of the areas to inspect are the steps and rungs, hooks and locks, bolts, rivets, and joints, hardware, and fitting. Step or rung requirements are they parallel, uniformly spaced, slip resistant, free of debris or slippery material? Some of the signs of damage would be roughed edges or splinters, warping or bending, breaks or cracks, corrosion or decay, missing rungs, cleats, or steps, loose joints, bolts, or rivets, and any other reportable damage. Other requirements: no paint or opaque coverings on the wooden ladders, movable parts that move smoothly, not affected by wear and damage, are all things that can go into an inspection. Shown here is an inspection checklist. This is a generic checklist that kind of walks you step by step on things to look at when doing an inspection. Develop a checklist from the manufacturer's owner manual to guide your inspection. Then document all inspection results prior to the ladder use. This will be different for every type of ladder that you have. Ladder maintenance. If you find problems during an inspection, take action. Problems required corrective action include broken rungs or railings, signs of corrosion, loose rivets or fastenings, and unsafe wear and tear. Remove unsafe equipment from service. Clearly label unsafe equipment so that other people do not use it. Discard ladders that cannot be restored, and replace worn or frayed ropes on extension ladders. Keep ladders in good working condition with preventative maintenance plan. Perform the maintenance at any time that is required to keep it in good repair. Maintain the lacquer on fiberglass ladders. If it's scratched, lightly sand before applying a new coat. And replace ladders when proper maintenance cannot be performed. Safe work procedures. Safe use of ladders is not difficult, but it does require that you follow certain procedures. Guidelines for ladder placement, steps for securing a ladder and surrounding work area, proper and improper ladder use, and guidelines for transporting and storing ladders. Below is a general ladder placement guide. We want to make sure that you have a solid footing, a level base, evenly supported across both the rungs and the rails, a sturdy structure that can hold the load. These are all things to look for when placing a ladder. When securing a ladder, we want to control the access to ensure that equipment or personnel do not knock over the ladder when not in use. Barricading off the work area is a way to prevent that. Prevent people from walking underneath, and use additional signage if needed. Unstable or uneven terrain. Ideally, ladders should be only used on level and stable surfaces. If the work must be done on unstable or uneven surfaces, secure the ladder to the top of the structure. Assure that the feet are slip resistant and use the ladder wedge or other means to stabilize the feet of the ladder from slipping, sinking, or blowing over. Be wary of unstable surfaces. Wedge can sink in soft terrain, and these precautions may not be enough. Some stepladder guidelines. Stepladders have unique hazards and require special precautions. Never stand on the top 2 steps. Never use a stepladder in a partially closed position. Open and lock cross spreaders. Stepladders must not exceed 20 feet in height. Extension ladder guidelines. Proper setup will prevent falls caused by slipping and unstable conditions. The main takeaway from this is climbing onto an elevated area. The side rails must extend at least 3 feet above the upper support to help the person exit and enter the ladder. Here's a chart for overlap requirements and suggested length. Proper work practices. Only use ladder for the design purpose. Only one person is allowed on the ladder at a time. At higher levels, secure yourself to the ladder with safety belt or positioning strap. Do not use ladders when you are ill, tired, or taking medication that impairs your alertness or coordination. On step ladders, do not cross brace unless other ladder has steps on both sides. On extension ladders, do not stand on the top 3 rungs and do not move a ladder with a person on it. Some prohibited practices. Do not create a longer ladder by combining 2 ladders together. If 2 of them are needed, separate them with a platform. A competent person must assist with erection of scaffolding. Make a ladder taller by placing boxes on it or risers. Do not use ladders as scaffolds. Please use the proper equipment. Climbing and descending. Never lean back out past the side rails. Keep your belt buckle between them. Use 3-point contact rule. Keep both feet and one hand on the ladder or both hands and one foot. Do not put one foot on the adjacent surface. Do not carry loads and do not use a hand line or tool belt for, use a hand line or tool belt for your tools. Do not walk the ladder by moving the ladder side to side to get it to move while you're on it. And do not jump off the ladder. Using caution while transporting and storing ladders. Prior to lifting the ladder, clear the path of travel and set points. Lift with your legs, not your back. If alone, lift the ladder from the middle. Get help if needed. When storing ladders vertically, hang them near the top rung. And in summary, ladders can be dangerous when they're not used correctly. Select the appropriate ladder and never exceed the maximum load rating. Conduct a hazard assessment and wear the correct PPE. Conduct inspections prior to each use and perform preventative maintenance. Properly position the ladder away from hazards. Follow the guidelines for proper ladder use. And do not be in a hurry or just try to get one extra foot when reaching a job. Thank you for attending this lesson. I hope you all learned something.